Okay, I'm
Can we go
pausing.
frame by frame on
Frame-
Jessie's
yeah,
face
yeah.
as she winds up?
So
Oh my God.
I didn't. I see.
Look.
Hi, I'm Jessie Buckley.
I'm Chloe Zhao.
I'm Paul Mescal.
And this is
Notes
Notes on a Scene.
I will send word, Agnes.
Send word. To whom?
To you.
This is after Hamnet died, spoiler alert. And Agnes is in her full expression of her grief, which is very different than how Will expresses his grief. He couldn't really handle the weight of it, so he decided to leave very soon after Hamnet died.
What I meant was that I shall send word when I reach London.
London.
I must leave.
We can take this opportunity, someone's peeling eggs, to talk about the beautiful production design Fiona, our production designer, has done. For her, it was really important that the space, the house, can contain the story of a full range of human emotions a person can go through. So there's emptiness, joy, and grief. It's so much about what plays on the table.
I don't think it was in the scene written in that I was peeling eggs. And while we were shooting, I would send Chloe these like fever writings every night, which were kind of abstract writings around the scene, and a load of eggs. peeling eggs came into my mind, and those are all the eggs. But now I have this like book of this moment in my life that I wasn't even kind of aware what I was making at the time, but now I have a full kind of memory book of this time.
And then, you know, just to shout out, like that beam is like an old beam that were shipped from France. It was so important for the team to have everything feels extremely lived in, and every little piece of details is there purposefully.
Fiona's design was so amazing. It had a smell that you felt like you were entering into a world. And even the like room where Hamnet dies, it smelled like an underworld in some way. And every tiny detail, like the candle holders were really like made out of this amazing corrugated iron that she'd bought in Italy by a man who was making candle holders the same way as they did back in the 1500s.
And you felt like, as an actor, you could go to any corner of the set and you could interact with it.
Yeah.
Like, it felt practical. I think that's sometimes, for actors, a difficult thing when you're confronted with artifice. If you go over to a place that you're not supposed to go, and then suddenly the whole illusion crumbles.
I have to go now.
Now?
There's a travelling party leaving today and they have a spare horse, so yeah. Look after the girls and I will go.
Okay, I'm
Can
pausing.
we go frame by frame on
Frame-
Jessie's
yeah,
face as she winds up?
So
Oh my God.
I didn't. I see.
Look.
Yeah. No, this is everyone's reaction behind the monitor.
I mean, it's quite a shock if somebody takes a swing at somebody.
I think that's the only take you did do a swing.
Yeah, I didn't do it again.
But also me and Lucas looked at each other like, this is the one. You know,
I
but-
thought you hated
I thought
the
you
take.
hated it, me too.
Well,
I
I was in a like I hate life mode that day, as you know. The idea of in moments like this, when the emotions are so charged, the camera will restrain itself from pushing for emotions because the space is like a bomb about to explode, and we actually want to stand back because we want the audience to feel the impact of the shock wave. Because when you go in there, for some reason, you actually does the opposite. So we stayed wide, but what we
It
didn't...
also feels theatrical. Like it feels like in the world of Shakespeare that like you're watching, like kind of in a meta sense, like you're watching actors in a frame that like you're not
Not that you don't see wide shots in films, but I feel like some of the more emotionally charged moments that you would see people jump in on in different films, you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And also the unpredictability, because the camera isn't there, they have all this space, and the wild animals come out of them. And that's what happened here. Let's look at frame by frame of her expression. That's how close it is.
I felt it
even.
across my face.
I feel
I was
like
so thrilled when that happened. Like, just like...
Firstly, nobody knew that was going to happen at all. It wasn't scripted, I didn't even know it was going to happen, and you get a shock when these
Yeah.
when these things come up.
Yeah, but the fact that you dodged that,
Well, I just think it means that we were very much in our bodies. Like,
Yeah.
It makes me scared watching it now.
On the day, I think all of us have come into this with our own heartaches, with our own, really intense ones, and that does reflects into the story. And I was definitely going through a really intense heartache right around the time we were shooting this that mirrored exactly what's happening in this scene. So I was not really together that day, but at the same time, the emotions I was feeling, I think we were all linked together. We didn't do much rehearsal, but we did some physical rehearsal. And we used this scene because we knew this was going to be a big physical scene. And so we did a tantric polarity workshop because I've trained as a tantric practitioner. And what it does is, do you want to?
No, you're the
A good scene has to have polarity. Even if it's people just looking at it, nothing happens, there needs to be polarizing energy happening for any kind of chemistry. That's just physics. So I wanted Paul and Jessie to feel safe to be in their most extreme polarity of their gender. So the most extreme of masculine and the most extreme of feminine. And that is actually really beautiful. It happens in nature a lot. So you have the masculine being the container and the banks on a river. And then the feminine, full expression, all chaos, all emotions, no feeling is restrained, full expression. Anything she feels, grief, shame, pain, whatever it is supposed to really make him come alive, turn him on. The more he contains unconditionally, holding that presence, the more she has the permission to surrender even more to her emotions.
It's too much.
sorry.
It
So
hurts my heart.
Yes, but I'm so happy. I love it.
Just draw a heart around them,
There.
please. Yeah, there.
Oh, keep your heart open.
That's a good heart.
There was a moment, then she relaxes, and then there's a beautiful kind of surrender from her, and that allows him to also soften. And then nobody has any kind of pretense, and they both are in their most vulnerable state. And we planted the seed that day. So even though on this day I wasn't really functional, but I was so happy to see that you went there.
Go. Go.
I think we all know fathers, sons, grandfathers, friends, uncles, lovers, men who are in pain. They can't express themselves. They're so afraid of their feeling functions. And he's not running away from her. He's running away from himself.
Yeah.
She realized that in the end. And the only place he feels safe to express himself is creativity, is through his art. And just quickly on the costume, is also, when we first meet the two of them, their colors, even though different, but really beautiful together. Vibrant together. And she, Magosha our costume designer, has a lot of details because not only Agnes is not fully dressed, and also there's all these little stitches that are done almost absently onto it's like she's coming apart while he is wearing more layers. There's more of a dissonance between them. And this scene breaks my heart. I think that's the eternal struggle for the masculine to run from themselves because they can't feel. They're too afraid to feel, and then for the feminine to then have to.
What do you mean by that? Too afraid to feel?
I
know what
you
you
know,
mean.
I don't
to
think.
express it openly in front of
I
people.
don't think life doesn't imitate art. You two are nothing like these two people.
Also, what was amazing is there was everybody was in their unspoken imaginations, and that's also because of the world that Fiona and Malgosia created. Once we entered into that house and entered into that scene, we were already cooking. We were already in the scene, and we all just got about being in it as much as we could and didn't ask kind of permission for anything.
Well, we did that, I feel like, in the weeks that preceded the shoot. Like, we did it in the workshops.
Yeah. We didn't go say the thing about the workshop.
With the male sexual organ.
Well, I'll just say, you use it or not, to build the polarity, his job is to physically embody a penis, and her job is to physically embody a
Vagina.
Yeah, and they was making movements and making sound to embody those two things, and then forever just looking at each other until
One of the lowest moments in my professional career, I would say.
you were very,
Embodying a penis. I'll leave that to everybody's imagination.
you were very convincing.
There's lots of rigidity.
On that note, it knows how to sing. No, but truly, like, I didn't know who these characters were. I had Maggie's book. I had this idea archetypally who they were. So very much that these two, other than being brilliant actors, but they were also so open and brave to give themselves into these characters. So who they are sort of melted with who these characters are. And so a moment like this for a director is, for me, it's just such a treat, because this is why I come to work, for moments like that to happen. Half of that is Will and Agnes, the other half is Paul and Jessie.